lift the veil on the mysteries of the underwater world and plunge into an enthralling journey through the gloomy river depths. In this installment, you will encounter truly colossal and frightening creatures that seem to have stepped straight out of legends and horror films, yet they are all real and can transform your understanding of what lies beneath the dark surface of the water. Are you ready to look true river monsters in the face? Many people know that one must be careful around stingrays, for they possess a venomous barb capable of causing severe injury or even death in particularly unfortunate circumstances. At the same time, most individuals are used to seeing small stingrays in aquariums and assume they are all roughly the same size. But that is not always the case. In the year 2022, in Cambodia, specifically in the Mekong River, a stingray of unprecedented size was discovered and caught. The biologist who pulled it in had devoted many years to searching for the largest freshwater fish on Earth, and it appears he succeeded. From the river, they extracted a specimen measuring about 4 meters in length and weighing around 300 kilograms. For comparison, the previous record for the largest freshwater inhabitant belonged to a giant catfish from Thailand, caught back in the middle of the 2000s. You must agree that such a find inspires both awe and dread, especially given the length of the stingray's barb. While stingrays rarely attack humans if not disturbed, their barb is venomous, so accidentally brushing up against such a creature would not be a pleasant life event. It is worth noting that the scientists approached the measurement with great care, placing the stingray on a special water-filled cradle to record all the data without harming the animal. After all the measurements, the fish was released back into the river. Now, let us change the subject a little and talk about river monsters that do not belong to fish at all. For example, the Japanese giant salamander. This unique creature can reach about 1.5 meters in length, which is many times larger than the small salamanders familiar to most people. By size, it is the third largest amphibian on Earth, surpassed only by its two relatives, the Chinese and South Chinese giant salamanders. Such an impressive length does not guarantee superpowers. The Japanese giant salamander does not have gills, so it requires cool, clean waters with a high oxygen content. Its eyesight is also weak, and it more often relies on the transparency of mountain streams where it can hunt while remaining unnoticed by predators. Sadly, this species suffers from deforestation, water pollution, and other human activities, which is why it is listed as vulnerable. If you look at a photo of a fisherman posing with an enormous catfish on the banks of the Po River in Italy, you might think the picture is faked, given the colossal difference in size between the human and the fish. But it is genuine. According to some reports, the specimen weighed over 100 kilograms and reached about 3 meters in length. Most notably, that is not even the limit. In those same Italian waters, even heavier and slightly longer catches have been documented. Yet each time the same question arises. How do anglers manage to pull such a beast out of the river on their own? Nevertheless, such instances are not uncommon, and they command deep respect for those who have dedicated themselves to fishing. If you have considerable strength, patience, and skill, it is entirely possible you could replicate their feat and land a gigantic catfish, which is often credited with mystical traits and even blamed for the disappearance of small animals. In the story from Cambodia, many were convinced it was some unknown monster. An enormous beast was allegedly discovered based on video recordings somewhere in Cambodia, but, for some strange reason, uploaded to a server in Vietnam, and even with commentary in Chinese. In the footage, a crowd of people is gathered around a giant creature. They said it was found not just in a river, but supposedly in the soil near the bank. However, it was soon rather quickly confirmed that it was a perfectly ordinary whale. Naturally, the question arises of how it ended up there, why it was found in the ground, and how it got so far inland. But if you recall that whales do sometimes enter river channels, it becomes slightly more understandable how such a thing could appear. Evidently, the animal died, and the current carried its body ashore, where people stumbled upon it. All the talk of monsters came about because, admittedly, the sight is far from usual. In the end, it turned out to be a normal whale, albeit so large that they had to use a truck to transport its remains. A sad fate, nothing more. The payara is one of those cases where you merely glance at the fish's jaws and think, "No, thank you." This freshwater resident is known for its enormous fangs, which have earned it the nickname vampire fish. Though it is not excessively long, most often about 1 meter, some specimens can look truly ominous. If you recall Jeremy Wade, he also encountered the payara on his show. In one of the first episodes, he caught such a creature and showed it to the world. Interestingly, payaras can sometimes be found as exotic pets among aquarium enthusiasts, though that sounds quite risky. Indeed, they have genuinely powerful jaws with formidable fangs, so it is best not to test their habits on yourself. Could you imagine finding a shark in freshwater? Yet, that is precisely what happens in the case of the so-called bull shark. These predators can move far upstream into rivers deep within continents. There was an incident in which a bull shark was discovered in one of the states of the United States, very far from the ocean, over 1,000 kilometers from the coast. It truly astonishes. As for their size, they can reach several meters in length and weigh up to hundreds of kilograms. Moreover, bull sharks are known for their volatile temperament. Among the most aggressive sharks dangerous to humans, they rank at the top. Some say that under certain circumstances, bull sharks may attack people more often than their other relatives. So if you think you are relatively safe in a river, and that sharks do not appear there, be aware. Bull sharks can show up in the most unexpected places. The paddlefish is a freshwater fish with a very distinctive rostrum that resembles a paddle. But unlike the sawfish, the paddlefish does not have barbs on its nose. It is believed that this elongated appendage is covered with special receptors that allow the fish to detect electrical impulses, thereby discovering prey. The paddlefish is one of the so-called living fossils. The ancestors of these creatures arose many hundreds of millions of years ago, and the fish has not changed much externally since then, merely adapting to its environment. Because of this, it is sometimes referred to as a primitive fish. Yet one should not underestimate it. The paddlefish lives successfully enough in the rivers of the United States of America, though it sometimes suffers from pollution and overfishing. Earlier I mentioned that most anglers fall into 2 categories, but there is also a third: people who literally chase after river monsters to present them for everyone to see. One example is Jeremy Wade, the host of the program River Monsters. He traveled to various corners of the earth to show us those underwater inhabitants with whom, luckily, we will most likely never come face to face. Once, during one of his expeditions to the Congo River, Jeremy caught a fish known as the giant tigerfish. It is truly a terrifying creature that you would not want to approach. Some believe the teeth and size are exaggerated until they see proof themselves. The teeth of this fish are so large and sharp that they can frighten you just by appearance. Moreover, it is a highly active predator that can reach about 50 kilograms in weight and up to about 1.5 meters in length. The teeth are shaped like tiny triangles, similar to those of piranhas, and they can grow to several centimeters. Its predatory tendencies are evident not only in devouring other fish, but also sometimes in attacking individuals of its own kind. In short, this fish combines a large build with a truly ferocious character. Remarkably, the giant tigerfish is also very intelligent. It uses calm stretches of the river for camouflage, keeps an eye out for its prey, and then, employing sharp vision, launches a sudden attack, tearing the victim to pieces with its teeth. Its only genuine natural opponent is the Nile crocodile, which, as everyone knows, can also attack humans. So you can imagine how formidable a foe that makes the tigerfish. Another astonishing creature associated with the waters of Cambodia and the Mekong River, although in this particular case the catch occurred in Vietnam, is the giant barb. It is often cited as one of the largest freshwater fish in the world and the biggest in its family. Some claim certain specimens can grow up to 3 meters in length and weigh close to 300 kilograms. However, these impressive proportions have had unfortunate consequences. The giant barb is Cambodia's national fish and is on the brink of extinction. It has been assigned a critically endangered status. In other words, if urgent measures are not taken to restore its population, it may vanish completely. As usual, human activity has played a part, destroying its natural habitat while simultaneously harvesting this large fish for food. The situation became so dire that in Cambodia, a royal decree was issued banning the catch of such fish. And in Vietnam, efforts are being made to save the species by breeding the remaining individuals and returning them to the wild. We can only hope these efforts will be successful, for such creatures deserve to continue living in our rivers. We have already mentioned the Nile crocodile as one of the few natural enemies of the giant tigerfish. And with good reason. It is among the most dangerous and largest crocodiles, capable of reaching an impressive length and weight, far surpassing that of many other African predators. Essentially, they are more dangerous than lions because they are extremely aggressive and unafraid to attack people. Average statistics on attacks speak for themselves. Renowned explorer of underwater beasts Jeremy Wade has encountered Nile crocodiles on multiple occasions. He has noted that being in the water with these reptiles can very easily lead to serious trouble. Pulling such an adversary ashore means exposing yourself to enormous risk. For one wrong move, and you become the victim. Let us turn now to another contender for the title of the largest freshwater fish, the giant arapaima. It can be found in the waters and rainforest areas of the Amazon, where it is regarded as one of the most remarkable inhabitants of the local fauna. On average, arapaimas grow to about 2 meters in length, although there have been documented cases of them exceeding 3 meters. Curiously, arapaimas do not breathe solely in water. They also require air. They must regularly surface, or they cannot survive. However, it is not their habits that inspire fear so much as their diet, which includes various species of fish, crustaceans, insects, as well as fruits and seeds. The most astonishing fact is that arapaimas may swim close to the shore and seize a small animal that comes too close to the waterline. This is an example of how traits that seem limiting, like the need to breathe above the surface, can become an additional hunting advantage. Unfortunately, as often happens, this huge species is threatened by human hunting. Arapaimas provide a great deal of meat, so their numbers are falling because local residents use the fish to feed themselves and their families. Furthermore, some believe that parts of the arapaima have healing properties, increasing the pursuit of this species even more. Fortunately, there are reserves and programs aimed at restoring the population. Yet what has happened demonstrates that, at times, we humans are the real monsters when we mindlessly destroy nature. Electric eels that inhabit South America inspire fear in many people because of their ability to generate powerful electric discharges. These fish possess special organs enabling them to deliver a shock of up to hundreds of volts. Although for an adult human, the shock often results merely in a painful jolt. In certain situations, it can be fatal. If, for instance, the person loses consciousness and drowns after falling into the water. Giant electric eels can extend beyond a couple of meters in length. They will not typically attack everything around them without reason, but if the fish senses a threat or feels a person touch it, a discharge is immediate. Add to that less than ideal vision, and you get a scenario in which an eel could mistake an accidental contact for danger and strike. So it is wise to be cautious. Jeremy Wade also introduced us to the Nile perch, a large fish found in the rivers of Africa. This perch can reach very impressive sizes, and what is more interesting, it is highly intelligent. The fact is that people have repeatedly caught and released the Nile perch, and the fish has learned to recognize anglers and their gear. As a result, catching it by trickery on an ordinary fishing line can be quite a challenge. There is a story of a strong man who enjoyed bodybuilding spending many hours wrestling with such a perch, trying to pull it out of the water, only succeeding when night fell. Strength and tenacity certainly come in handy when dealing with this predator. Some might be surprised to see a snake on the list, yet green anacondas live both in the water and on land. They are the longest and among the heaviest snakes on the planet, capable of exceeding 10 meters in length. An encounter with them in a river is entirely possible, especially if you venture into the depths of South American waters. A video online shows a large anaconda approaching people in a boat. The snake is not venomous, but it kills prey by coiling around the victim and constricting it until it stops breathing. You must admit, the prospect of meeting such a creature in the water is far from reassuring. When you first see the giant Queensland grouper, you immediately notice its unusual coloration. This fish is also one of the largest bony marine dwellers, able to exceed 2 meters in length and achieve substantial weight, sometimes reaching up to 400 kilograms. Moreover, it can descend to a pretty significant depth if it needs to. Especially intriguing is that juvenile Queensland groupers prefer to reside in coral reefs, while older individuals frequently head off to other hidden locales, caves, crevices, and even shipwrecks. There, they can live a solitary life and hunt from ambush, as they are ambush predators. Their diet encompasses a wide array of creatures, including sea turtles and certain types of sharks. They guard their territory rather fiercely and can easily chase away intruders. On the other hand, they have sometimes been observed showing curiosity toward divers by swimming quite close. Thus, one cannot label them wholly aggressive. Much depends on the circumstances and the individual's mood. Hearing the name giant sawfish, it is not difficult to guess why it is called that. On its nose, there is a growth resembling a saw. In this case, that is not a metaphor, but literally a serrated extension. Documented cases include specimens measuring several meters in length and weighing more than 700 kilograms. Such a creature undoubtedly leaves a powerful impression. The saw on the fish's snout is used to dig prey out of the riverbed's mud and sand. There is debate about other possible functions of this organ, but the fact remains that the sawfish uses it effectively for procuring food. Sadly, human commercial fishing significantly reduces sawfish populations. They sometimes get tangled in nets or are harvested for their unique saw-like appendage. Legends abound about this sturgeon. Not only can it reach enormous length and impressive weight, sometimes in the range of several hundred kilograms, but occasionally there are specimens that only the bravest anglers can haul from the depths. The well-known seeker of river monsters, Jeremy Wade, has also dealt with the white sturgeon and stated that it is among the largest fish he has ever encountered. Among documented instances, one can recall a sturgeon caught in California that weighed hundreds of kilograms and exceeded 3 meters in length. Still, there have also been accounts of such giants allegedly weighing more than 3 times that amount. The problem is that, as with many other species, some populations thrive in certain regions, while in others they teeter on the brink of extinction. For example, in Mexico, certain white sturgeon populations do fairly well, whereas in California, their numbers are declining because of environmental degradation. One can only hope the situation can be rectified. Here we turn our attention to one particular lake trout that set a world record with its dimensions. It was caught in Colorado, and photographs of the catch, having spread everywhere, created a true sensation among anglers. The weight of that trout surpassed all previous records documented in the state, and we are talking about a weight of over 30 kilograms, converted to familiar figures in Russian-speaking contexts, of course. Furthermore, The lucky person who caught this fish recorded the process on video, making for more than convincing proof. At first, experts were skeptical, saying that lake trout of that size usually are not found in Colorado, and that you would have to go elsewhere for such a catch. Yet reality proved otherwise. It is also remarkable that the record-setting angler did not exhibit excessive bravado. He calmly shared information about his gear, bait, and so forth. Such modesty in the face of a monumental achievement is at least commendable. Sometimes river monsters astonish not only with their size but also their age. Imagine a sturgeon at least 100 years old. Such finds do occur. For example, somewhere in the Canadian province of British Columbia, a fisherman caught a sturgeon more than 3 meters in length and weighing several hundred kilograms. Experienced specialists confidently stated that the fish could be around a century old. Longtime fishermen know how to assess such parameters. After the sturgeon was fitted with a special tracking tag, it was released back into the river. Many legends of century-old river dwellers, as you can see, have a genuine basis in reality. Sockeye salmon is often recognized by its bright, almost crimson coloration with a greenish sheen near the head, though few realize that this fish can change its hue, depending on whether it is in the salty waters of the ocean or the fresh water of rivers. Some call this capability mysterious and astonishing. But for sockeye salmon, it is a perfectly natural process. Another characteristic of sockeye salmon is its life cycle. Like many Pacific salmon, sockeye dies after spawning. That is, having traveled along the river to lay eggs, it perishes. It sounds rather sad, but that is simply how this species is designed. It perpetuates its population by sacrificing the lives of mature individuals. That concludes our selection of stories about incredible river creatures that people have caught at one time or another. Which one impressed or frightened you the most? Perhaps you have your own examples, or you believe someone else ought to be added to the list. Do not hesitate to share your thoughts. Meanwhile, check out other fascinating materials, for our planet is full of surprises. Until next time.